Heartwarming revelation. The incredible woman washing dishes at a luxury party was the owner's hidden guardian angel. The glittering ballroom was alive with laughter, the soft melodies of strings swirling among the clinking of crystal glasses. Dressed in tuxedos and elegant gowns, the well-heeled guests raised their glasses high, toasting to fortune and good fortune. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the kitchen, Clara scrubbed away at a pile of dishes that felt insurmountable. Each plate, each knife, held remnants of the gourmet meals that had just seduced the taste buds of the privileged. Her callous hands told tales of late nights, early mornings, of sacrifice for a father who soldiers on through the thickets of PTSD, and a daughter, Emma, whose dreams glittered like the chandeliers above. Clara's world was a stark contrast to the opulence surrounding her. While guests fluttered from plate to plate, discussing their luxurious lives, she found herself lost amidst the festivity, a ghost in the glimmering night. With every plate she washed, she reflected on how her family's fortunes had plummeted, leaving her thrust into adulthood too early, carrying the weight of responsibilities that felt heavier than the soapy water in the sink. This gala, the biggest event of the wealthy to-do list, was just another night for Clara to earn her keep, yet the situation amplified her feelings of invisibility, that shadow of a life she fought to break free from. Suddenly, her phone buzzed like a siren, cutting through the festivity. It was the school. Emma was ill, and she needed her mother. With her heart pounding, Clara glanced into the ballroom. Laughter filled her ears, and the fragrance of expensive perfumes wafted over her. Tears threatened to spill as the weight of her duties collided in that moment. She was a mother, a caretaker, yet here she was, scrubbing dishes while her child suffered. And out there, Jack, the event's host, who once trudged through his own struggles, stood at the epicenter of it all, oblivious to the storm brewing right outside his door. In a rare moment, Jack caught sight of Clara, and for the first time, he saw the woman behind the apron. "You're doing an amazing job," he said, not knowing how that single compliment would ripple through Clara's heart. It brought her momentary pride, yet it faded quickly. Praise from the wealthy didn't fill the void of longing she carried inside. Before she knew it, the moment swelled into a breaking point. Clara's voice, shaky yet powerful, echoed in the air. "I am not just a dishwasher. I am a mother, a daughter, a fighter." Her words silenced the clinks of silverware, awakening emotions long buried beneath the surface. She spoke for all who worked in the shadows, their struggles hidden from society's golden gloss. The lavish atmosphere of the gala began to quiver. Guests turned, curious eyes wide, Jack among them, as they finally saw her, truly saw her. But before Clara could fully comprehend the power of her voice, a siren wailed in the distance, joining the urgency in her heart. Could this be a moment of connection? Would the conversations forged tonight transcend the barriers that divided their worlds? The stakes had never felt so high, and yet Clara's fear loomed, the question left hanging in the air. Would she continue to be silenced, or was this her call to rise? The tension in the room was palpable. Clara's heart raced as she locked eyes with Jack, a man defined by privilege, standing amidst luxury, yet now caught in an unexpected reality. His brows furrowed in thought, a sign that her words had hit home. The laughter from the ballroom faded into a muffled backdrop, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of emotion swirling in Clara. As guests whispered among themselves, she could see steam escaping from the tension. It was a mix of surprise and admiration. Clara felt exposed but somehow empowered. For the first time, she was seen, not just as an invisible worker, but as a person with dreams and a voice. She could feel a shift in the energy around her, a tentative bridge forming between her world and theirs. "What do you mean by that?" Jack asked, stepping closer, his voice low yet firm. The sincerity in his eyes felt like a lifeline tossed her way. It was an opening, an invitation to share her story. Clara swallowed hard. The words felt like stones in her throat, but she forced them out. I mean, I do more than this. I care for my father and my daughter. Every dish I wash is a step toward a better life for us. The shifts I put in here there for them. Her voice steadied, filled with the strength she'd been holding back. I want Emma to have opportunities, to dream beyond this. She gestured vaguely at the ballroom, this glittering prison for too many. Jack listened intently, and the crowd around them quieted. Clara could feel the weight of their gaze, curious and receptive. She allowed herself a quick breath, her spirit buoyed by the shift in atmosphere, her thoughts dancing bravely on the edge of disclosure. What would you like for her? Jack finally said, breaking the silence, his voice a whisper amid the stillness. It was a simple question, yet it hung thick with potential. Clara hesitated. I want her to be free. Free to think, to create, to not worry where the next meal comes from. The vulnerability in her voice surprised even her. I want her to feel like she belongs in any world she chooses. As she spoke, the sirens outside faded into the background, only to be replaced by a new sound, a murmur of agreement from the guests surrounding them. Was this what it meant to connect? Clara's heart thrummed with the intensity of a moment that could change everything. Jack nodded slowly, clearly moved. He glanced at the other guests, and Clara read the shifting dynamics in their demeanor. Their faces had softened, the sheen of indifference cracking. And how can we help? His question fell heavy, a challenge and a promise all wrapped into one. Clara's pulse quickened. She had not anticipated this. A failing hope flickered in her chest. Was Jack serious? Or was this just the polite facade of a wealthy man trying to save face? She fought her instinct to retreat, pushing past the walls she had built around her heart. By remembering us. By seeing us, she replied quietly. Understanding the hard work behind every feather in your cap. Supporting those who toil in silence, not just tonight, but beyond. The air crackled with possibility. She could not help but feel a warmth pooling in her chest, a strange mix of vulnerability and hope. Her honesty had sparked something in the room. As the partygoers exchanged glances, Clara sensed a storm of emotion stirring, an awakening perhaps. But just then, the clinking of glasses and cell phones buzzing erupted the evening as music resumed, and Jack was whisked away. Clara felt the pull of reality sink back into her, along with fear and doubt. Would Jack remember her after this night? Would the guests really change their minds? Clara sighed heavily, the armor around her heart slowly reforming. Would she find the courage to speak up again, or had she missed a crucial moment? As the dishes piled higher around her, Clara looked up and caught the gaze of a young woman from the crowd who stood frozen, looking troubled. Maybe there was still hope. Maybe this was just the beginning. As Clara turned to continue her work, she realized she could no longer live in the shadows. Her voice had been heard, but what would she do with this newfound strength? The question lingered. What if this moment could lead to a greater purpose, not just for herself but for every dream waiting to be unleashed? What would she risk to make it happen? Clara had barely finished her thoughts when the sound of laughter drifted back to her ears, jarring her from the warmth of her newfound courage. The clinking of glasses and chatter filled the ballroom once more, and she found herself buried in the rhythm of her work, the soapy water, the scraping of plates, the steam rising like forgotten dreams. Yet, amidst the chaos, that moment with Jack had ignited a spark within her, and a nagging feeling settled in her gut. A sense of urgency pulled at her thoughts. She couldn't just return to the shadows. Not now. She saw the young woman from before, still staring. There was something in her eyes that mirrored Clara's own yearning, a shared hunger for purpose. "Excuse me," Clara said to a co-worker nearby, stepping closer to the young woman. "Are you okay?" The woman blinked, snapping back to reality. Yes, I just," her voice faltered, and Clara could see she was struggling to find the right words. "What you said?" "Back there." She looked at Clara, her eyes wide, almost brimming with tears. "It touched me." Clara's heart softened. "You don't have to explain. I get it." She could see the woman was caught in a web of emotions, filled with uncertainty like a boat rocking on stormy waters. Nobody talks about it enough. With a deep breath, the woman finally spoke up. "I'm Sophie. I'm just starting out trying to figure it all out. I often feel invisible too." Her voice was low, shaking slightly. "I want to do something big, but how? Who would even care?" Clara's heart raced. "Look, if there's one thing I've learned tonight, it's that people do care. They just need a nudge sometimes." She paused, her mind racing. What if we helped each other? We could start small, help those who feel lost, like we do. Imagine the difference we could make. Sophie's face lit up a little. "Together? You really think that could work?" "Absolutely," Clara replied, the idea blooming within her like the first light of dawn. "Let us gather others who feel the same way. We can build something advocate for each other, for our families." But even as she filled with hope, doubt kicked in. "What if it fails?" Sophie whispered. "Then we try again." Clara realized in that moment that the fear of failing was outweighed by the thrill of trying. We can't keep hoping for someone else to solve our problems. We have to be the change we want to see. Just then, the music shifted, lively and full of energy, wrapping around them as a backdrop for possibilities. It felt infectious, lifting spirits, scattering their doubts like autumn leaves on a breeze. The young woman smiled, her eyes sparkling. "I'd like that. It's scary, but at least I wouldn't be alone." As they spoke, their words spun an invisible thread, weaving a story of connection and purpose. Clara felt empowered that she might not be alone in her journey after all. Perhaps this spark could ignite a fire among others. With a shared glance, they found their resolve. If they could rally together, their voices wouldn't just echo. They could create an anthem. "Let us do this," Clara said with newfound determination. "Let us gather our voices and make them heard." But just as excitement began to bloom between them, Clara noticed Jack making his way back through the throng of partygoers. He was talking to a group, gesturing animatedly. Seeing him reminded her of the promise he had made, the hope that flickered in his eyes. "What if he could help us?" Clara whispered to Sophie. "I don't know, but we have to ask, right?" Sophie replied, her voice tremulous with anticipation. As Jack drew nearer, Clara's heart raced again. Was she ready to open up further? "Now or never," Clara murmured. And as she took a step forward, she felt the stirrings of change within her. What would she say? Would Jack remember their connection? Clara took a deep breath and let the words spill out toward the unfolding possibilities. "Jack!" Clara called out, her voice barely rising above the lively crowd. The moment felt monumental, weighty with potential and hope. He turned, those familiar blue eyes meeting hers, and she could feel the warmth radiating from his smile. "Clara!" "Hey!" He pushed through the gathering, excitement dancing in his steps. "How are you?" "I'm good, actually," she began, her confidence blooming with every word. But then, just as quickly, her nerves kicked in. "I wanted to talk to you about something important." Sophie stood beside her, silently supporting Clara with her presence, yet her cheeks flushed with shyness as Jack approached. "What's on your mind?" Jack asked, genuine curiosity lighting up his expression. "You seem different." "It's south this place," Clara gestured around them, her words spilling out. "It makes you realize how much potential we all have, how we can connect, help each other." She met his gaze, steadying herself. "Sophie and I were thinking about starting something like a support group for people who feel lost or invisible, you know? We want to advocate for each other and our families." Jack raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued, but a hint of skepticism crept into his tone. "That sounds great, But how will you reach people? It's a big task. Clara felt a pang of doubt, but pushed through it. Imagine if we could rally others, make it a movement. We could start small, right here. If we can inspire even a few, it could grow. Her heart raced as she thought of the possibilities, and how many lives could be touched. Sophie stepped forward, her voice gaining strength. We can make others feel seen, help them find their voices. We just need to gather everyone, share our stories. Jack regarded them with a seriousness that sent a shiver of anticipation through Clara. You really believe in this, don't you? Yes, Clara replied, her conviction clear. I believe we can inspire change. We've got to try at least. There was silence for a moment, the air thick with tension. Around them, the party continued, but inside Clara, the stakes felt impossibly high. I'd love to help, Jack finally said, his tone shifting. I think this is amazing. Count me in. A bright smile broke on his face, eclipsing any shadows of doubt that had lingered. A wave of relief washed over Clara. Really? Her eyes widened. You'd actually join us? Absolutely, he affirmed, nodding with enthusiasm. You've got my support. This is the kind of impact we need. Sophie clasped her hands together, her grin spreading wider. This is going to be incredible. With the lightness of Jack's agreement, Clara felt a spark of excitement. They weren't just three individuals any longer. They were a team now, ready to take steps toward shaping their dreams into reality. As moments passed, they began to discuss plans. Clara painted visions of workshops, community meetups, and outreach programs, her excitement bubbling over like a freshly poured soda. Jack chimed in with suggestions about social media campaigns, making connections amongst the party guests. Every great change starts with a conversation, he said, leaning in. Let us start right here tonight. Clara's heart fluttered at his words. It was happening. Together, they could carve out a space for those who felt alone and lost. But just as she was about to suggest they gather more people, the music shifted again. The upbeat tempo invited everyone to hit the dance floor. The crowd surged, laughter and joy mingling with the melodies, but Clara hesitated. Maybe we should take a break and mingle? There's a lot of potential in this room, Jack suggested, glancing at the gathering throng. Clara nodded, the momentum beginning to dwindle. All right. Let us attract a crowd to join our vision. As they began to weave through the attendees, Clara's mind raced. The excitement of possibility mixed with the fear of stepping into the unknown. Clara! A voice shouted from somewhere in the crowd. She turned, her heart leaping. It was Madeline, a local activist Clara admired from afar. Could this night hold even more potential than she imagined? Clara, I need to talk to you, Madeline said, her expression focused, an urgency in her voice. What is happening? Clara asked, brows knitting together in concern. I believe I have a project that could help you with your vision. Before she could finish, Clara felt the world around her shift with anticipation, realizing that this night wasn't just about her and Jack anymore. It was unfolding into something grander than she could have envisioned. What was this new project? Would it intertwine with their plans and spark even more change? Clara found herself leaning in, ready to hear what Madeline had to say. Madeline clasped Clara's shoulders, her grip firm and reassuring. It's about creating opportunities, Clara. I've been working on an initiative that connects local businesses with community resources. Imagine combining that with what you and Jack are planning. We could create real impact. Clara's mind whirled. You mean for our support group? Exactly. We provide workshops on entrepreneurship, financial literacy, and mental health. But we also encourage local businesses to sponsor some of our events. Think about it. This could bring awareness and help a lot of people. Jack stepped closer, his interest piqued. That sounds brilliant. We could spread the word far, and wide if we had local support. Exposure is everything in gaining traction. Clara couldn't help but smile. Every word Madeline spoke resonated with a melody of hope inside her. How do we start? I mean, where do you see this going? Madeline's eyes sparkled. We can host a kickoff event. Bring in speakers, have discussions. It's the perfect way to build a community spirit. Together, we can create a network that would connect everyone. Yes, Sophie chimed in, practically bouncing on her toes. We can create a space where everyone feels valued and supported. This is it, Clara. This is our chance. Clara's heart raced. Her vision was expanding beyond anything she had imagined. But then a sliver of worry crept in. What if we can't pull it off? What if we fail? Madeline shook her head with certainty. Look at this moment, Clara. You're not alone. You have Jack, Sophie, and me. We have each other as backs. We'll figure it out together. We just have to take that first step. As the music pulsed in rhythm with their excitement, the summer evening air felt charged with possibility. Clara took a deep breath, absorbing the vibrant energy buzzing around them. She glanced over at Jack, who nodded encouragingly. Let us do this, Jack exclaimed, his voice ringing clear above the lively atmosphere. Let us gather everyone. Yeah, Clara rallied, the initial fear melting away. Let's show them what we can create together. Looking around the room, Clara felt the surge of potential. Meeting new people, sharing stories, lighting sparks of inspiration, it was all right there. The crowd hummed with anticipation, unaware of the plans blossoming just beneath the surface. Clara and her newfound team began to weave through the throng of people, drawing connections, and casting visions. They introduced themselves, sharing snippets of their dreams, inviting others to join. Each conversation blossomed with laughter and enthusiasm, igniting a small fire of excitement in Clara's chest. But amidst the warm exchanges, Clara caught a glimpse of a young woman standing alone by the drinks table, her expression downcast. A heaviness resonated in Clara's heart. Was she overlooked? Did she feel invisible? Hold on, Clara said, pausing in mid-conversation with a friendly guest. I'll be right back. She walked toward the woman tentatively. Hey there, I'm Clara. Are you enjoying the party? The woman looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. Oh, hi. I'm really not sure. I don't know many people here. Taking a seat next to her, Clara felt a gentle urgency. You know, that's why we're starting this group. To connect with each other. I don't want anyone to feel like they don't belong. The woman's expression softened. Really? That sounds nice. I could use something like that. Just as Clara began to probe deeper, searching for her name, Madeline's voice rose above the crowd. Hey everyone! Can I have your attention? The bustling chatter quieted as heads turned toward Madeline, excitement palpable. Clara felt a twinge of apprehension. Would this change things? Madeline smiled, a beacon of enthusiasm. We're about to embark on something amazing, an initiative not just for ourselves, but for our community. We invite you all to join us. Let us stand together. Clara exchanged glances with Jack and Sophie, their eyes sparkling with hope. What lay ahead? Would they harness the energy in the room to drive their vision forward? Clara held her breath, waiting for Madeline to unfold the next step in this incredible journey. Madeline cleared her throat and continued, think about how we can impact lives. We invite you to be part of this journey. Together, we can uplift each other and create change right here in our community. Clara's heart raced as she absorbed Madeline's words. The atmosphere shifted. The crowd leaned in, intrigued. She could sense a wave of emotion washing over everyone, each individual feeling the weight of importance in this moment. Jack leaned closer, whispering to Clara, "This is it. Look at their faces." The energy in the room grew electric, each pair of eyes wide with curiosity, awareness, and hope mingling together. Clara wanted to keep that momentum surging. She turned back to the lone woman at the table, who seemed to mirror the mix of excitement and apprehension. "Can I introduce you?" Clara asked, gesturing for the woman to stand beside her. "This is Rachel. She's new to the area, and I think she could be a great fit for our group." Rachel's initial surprise shifted to warmth as Clara took her hand and pulled her into the spotlight. "Everyone meet Rachel. She is looking to connect and be part of our community." A round of welcoming smiles spread across the crowd, and Clara felt a surge of gratification. Rachel's face lit up, and the tension from earlier slipped away. Little by little, more voices began to embrace Rachel. People began sharing their stories of moving to the area, of starting over, and of finding their footing. Madeline seized the moment. "Why don't we break into smaller groups? Each of you can share what you hope to gain from this initiative. Let us find ways to uplift each other." Without hesitation, the crowd shifted into groups, their conversations bubbling with genuine eagerness. Clara's fears melted away as she watched various clusters spring up around the room. Jack looked at Clara, his eyes sparkling with admiration. "You did that! Bringing her in so simple, yet so impactful." Clara felt a flush of pride, but the attention made her shy. "It's teamwork. We're all in this together." As laughter and conversation filled the air, Clara wandered to another group. She listened, absorbing the stories. Moments of vulnerability turned into heartfelt discussions about dreams and fears, ambitions and setbacks. Clara's heart swelled. This is what it was all about. But then, amid the cheer, she noticed an older gentleman sitting by himself on a worn leather armchair, nursing a drink. His expression was a mix of nostalgia and regret that tugged at Clara's heart. "I'll be right back," Clara said to Sophie, who was wrapped up in conversation. She approached the gentleman, her curiosity piqued. "Hi there, I'm Clara. You look deep in thought. Mind if I join you?" The man offered a gentle smile. "Not at all. Just reflecting on the days gone by. I didn't think I'd end up here. Just an old man marveling at the energy around us." "What brought you here?" Clara asked, intrigued. "A friend from long ago reached out. He thought I'd enjoy it. But I'm not sure what I contribute at my age." Clara felt a wave of empathy wash over her. Everyone has something valuable to share, no matter where they are in life. You've seen things, lived through experiences. That's wisdom we could all benefit from. His eyes twinkled with appreciation, but a shadow of doubt lingered. It's been hard to connect. Life can isolate you if you're not careful. "We're all about connection here," Clara reassured him. "Would you like to come meet the others? We'd love to hear your story." He hesitated, but Clara's encouraging smile seemed to coax him to his feet. "Why not? What do I have to lose?" As they walked toward the gathering, Clara felt her own heart lift. There was so much potential for transformation and connection all around. But just as they reached the lively group, Madeline called out again. "As we share and grow, let us not forget some of the strongest connections come from the most unexpected places." Clara froze, the chilling realization washing over her. What unexpected truths could emerge as they shared their stories? Would the connections they forged uplift themselves and each other beyond their wildest hopes? A small buzz of unease stirred within her. What surprising revelations awaited them in this vibrant room of hopeful hearts, battling their own doubts? Clara's mind raced with possibilities, questioning just how deep these connections might go. As they entered the spotlight of the crowd, she wondered, what would they find about themselves and each other if they truly opened up? Just as Clara stepped into the hum of conversation, she felt the tension dissipate like mist under the rising sun. Everyone was engaged, laughing, sharing stories. Rachel stood animatedly, her voice carrying through the throng. Clara's heart swelled at the sight. But the moment was interrupted by a loud crash from the far corner of the room. Heads turned, and Clara's heart skipped a beat. Had someone tripped? Was there an argument brewing? She wove through the crowd, her eyes scanning anxiously for the source of the commotion. In the corner, a young woman had dropped a stack of chairs. Her cheeks flushed crimson as she knelt to collect them. Clara rushed over, kneeling beside her. "Hey, are you okay?" The woman looked up, her eyes shimmering with embarrassment. "I'm sorry, I was just trying to help rearrange." "No harm done," Clara reassured her, making a playful gesture to lift another chair. "We all have our moments. I tripped earlier just getting in here." A smile broke the tension on the young woman's face. "Really? I thought I was the only one having a clumsy day." Clara nodded, and they began stacking the chairs together. "I think this is a good reminder that we're all in the same boat. You know, trying to connect, and sometimes stumbling along the way." Once finished, the young woman straightened, brushing dust from her dress. "Thanks, Clara. I didn't realize this was such a big gathering." "I'm Lily, by the way." Clara introduced herself in return. "So what drew you to this event?" "I moved here a few months ago. I needed a fresh start, but it's been tough meeting new people." There was a hint of vulnerability in her voice. "Yeah, I get that. But tonight feels special, doesn't it?" Clara searched Lily's face, excited by the connection already forming. "It definitely does." Lily's smile was genuine now. "I think I've been waiting for something like this, a place to belong." Just then, Clara noticed the older gentleman standing nearby, observing their conversation. His earlier hesitance had melted. He now had a small smile on his face as he listened to the two women. She beckoned him closer. "This is Mr. Hargrove. He's got incredible life stories, and I bet he'd love to share them with you." Lily turned, a spark of interest lighting her eyes. "Really? What is your story, Mr. Hargrove?" He cleared his throat, and for a moment he looked almost youthful. "Well, I've seen a lot of changes in my time. I moved here when this town was just a whisper of what it is now. It's amazing how life spins you around." As he started sharing pieces of his life struggles, community triumphs, and moments of stubborn hope, the crowd slowly began to cluster around them. Clara watched the transformation happen. The earlier doubts that lingered in the room matter-of-factly faded into thoughtful smiles and nods of understanding. Madeline stepped forward to guide the group. "What a beautiful example of sharing our experiences. See how simple connections can break down barriers. This is what we're here for." Clara felt a rush of gratitude wash over her as laughter and stories echoed around the room. It was a melting pot of humanity, fears dismissed, dreams uncovered, and laughter ringing like a familiar song. She looked at Jack, who was engaged in conversation with someone new, his face animated and open. But then Clara sensed something deeper simmering beneath the surface, and unease creeping in among the faces of the crowd. A few whispered together, their expressions shifting. As Mr. Hargrove finished a particularly poignant story, a sense of silence enveloped the room. Who had experienced loss, loneliness, or unfulfilled dreams beneath the laughter? Clara could almost feel an invisible thread connecting unspoken pains. Madeline, catching the shift, said, "What we often find during moments like these is so powerful. It's when we dig deeper that life as true treasures emerge." Clara's heart raced. What truths lay tangled in these hearts? What hidden stories were waiting to break free? The tension pulled taut, drawing Clara closer to the edge of something profound. Would these gentle souls find the courage to voice their hidden struggles? And in doing so, could they unravel the bonds that had held them captive for so long? Clara knew this night was just beginning, and the real journey might be only moments away. As the air hung thick with unspoken stories, Clara felt a shift. the laughter softened, giving way to a murmur that rippled through the crowd. Faces that had been bright with amusement now bore shadows of worry and uncertainty. Clara looked around, her heart quickening. What had shifted? Mr. Hargrove leaned slightly forward, his weathered hands resting on his knees. You know, sometimes we carry burdens we think no one else can see. But those burdens can connect us, just like joy can. His voice was steady, yet reverberated with emotional weight. The crowd nodded, as if awakening to an unspoken agreement. Clara took a deep breath, sensing the collective acknowledgement of pain hovering in the room. She wanted to dive into those uncharted waters. She glanced at Lily, whose expression mirrored her own apprehension. Madeline smiled knowingly and spoke again. Life has a way of intertwining our experiences. Perhaps tonight we can uncover those connections. What do you mean? Lily asked, her curiosity piqued. For a moment, Madeline hesitated, gauging her audience. Not all stories are wrapped in laughter. Each of us has faced challenges, loss, regrets, loneliness. Sharing those can sometimes heal. Clara felt her own past tugging at her heart. The sudden tightness in her chest reminded her of her own battles. Suddenly, it was clear to her. This wasn't just a gathering of strangers, it was a tapestry of interwoven lives seeking understanding. Could they dare to share their truths here? Mr. Hargrove continued, his eyes glistening. I lost my wife years ago. Most days are brighter, but there are moments when the memories flood back. His voice cracked gently, revealing the fissures of his heart. It's those moments that remind us we're human, that we're still alive, despite the pain. The silence stretched as people listened, some nodding. Clara felt a wave of solidarity wash over her. She glanced around and saw glistening eyes, tightening jaws, and soft, understanding smiles. There was something powerful at play. Do you want to share something? Clara found herself asking Lily, feeling truly connected. Lily's breath quivered as she glanced down, contemplating. I moved here to escape a life that felt too heavy. Losing my father hit me harder than I could ever express. I thought a new place would fix it, but it doesn't go away so easily. Her voice was soft, but Clara felt its impact like a whisper of wind. Jack joined the circle, sensing the rising emotional tide. Lily, you're not alone in that. Everyone here has carried their share of scars. Some look good on the outside but hurt inside. His honesty resonated, bringing more voices into the conversation. As more shared stories emerged, Clara witnessed a metamorphosis. They were not just individuals anymore. They became a community. They spoke of dreams that had slipped away, joys that faded, and the everyday struggles that often remained hidden. The fog of discomfort quickly dissipated, revealing a landscape rich with empathy and support. Clara felt a sense of belonging amid this sea of shared humanity. As the collective voices rose, mingling trust with vulnerability, Clara sensed the magic harmonizing in the room. Hearts began to unburden, whether through tears or laughter. It transformed their gathering from mere acquaintances into friends, crafting an unexpected bond. Madeline looked around the room and smiled warmly. It's moments like these that remind us we're all in this together. Through sharing, we can heal. Clara's heart swelled. There was an abundance of hope growing amidst the pain, a tapestry of resilience. But deep down, she knew there was still much more to uncover. As the stories continued to unravel, Clara could feel a looming question in the air, a subtle intrigue shimmering among them. What truths were yet to emerge, and what unexpected connections could deepen this gathering even further? Perhaps they weren't done sharing. Perhaps the night still had more revelations to weave into their lives. Clara took a moment to gather her thoughts, feeling the weight of the unspoken stories still thick in the air. Something told her that not everyone had shared their truth yet. The evening felt electric, crackling with the potential for deeper connections, deeper healing. She turned to Lily again, who sat with her hands clasped tightly in her lap. as if holding on to something fragile. Do you think we should keep going? Maybe there are more stories waiting? Clara asked gently, encouraging the space to welcome more voices. Lily nodded slowly, her eyes still shimmering with unshed tears. I think so. It feels good, doesn't it? Like, I don't know, like we're actually being heard. Madeline chimed in, her enthusiasm undeniable. Yes. Sharing can be profoundly liberating. Sometimes the hardest burdens to bear are the ones we think we have to carry alone. She glanced around, inviting others to chime in. Jack took a breath, as if preparing to dive into the depths of a river. I think we've all felt that pressure, haven't we? To be strong. To hold it all together. I lost my brother a few years back. It shattered me. It still does, really. But talking about it, it almost makes it lighter in some way. The crowd quieted once again. Clara caught tears glistening on the edges of some eyes, witnessing this raw, vital exchange. She felt her heart racing. Each revelation stitched them closer together. Thank you for sharing that, Jack, Clara said softly. It's brave to speak up about the painful parts of life. You've opened the door for others. Suddenly, an older woman, who had remained silent, shifted in her seat. Her face was etched with years of weathered experience, but her eyes sparkled like distant stars. I've lost much too, she said, her voice steady but thin. My husband, my daughter long ago. But what I want to say is that loss doesn't define you. It leaves a scar, yes, but it also teaches you to hold joy when it arrives. She paused, letting the weight of her words hang in the air. Life can still be beautiful, even when it hurts. A collective exhale rippled through the group. Clara felt tears well in her own eyes. This was depth. This was connection. It showed that even after unimaginable loss, there was the potential for joy, for moments that could still be cherished, no matter how small. Madeline smiled again, her heart clearly warmed by each contribution. Exactly. We can honor those we've lost while still embracing our lives. This sharing tonight, this is life, she said passionately. We're telling these stories, not only for ourselves, but for those who can't speak anymore. But as Clara listened, another thought nagged at her. What would she share? Her experiences danced at the edges of her mind, battling for the spotlight. She had her own scars, stories that felt heavy, but also beautiful in their fragility. Should I share? She wondered, glancing at Lily. It was not just about her anymore. It was about everyone and their journey together. Before she could decide, another voice broke through. It was the woman from earlier, leaning in. If any of you feel safe enough, I think you should speak. It's in sharing our stories, in revealing our depths, that we find true connection. Clara's heart raced. She was ready, wasn't she? Her own story, the struggles with grief, and the fight to heal. It yearned for validation, for a listening ear. But would it resonate with them? As she opened her mouth, feeling unsteady yet remarkably alive, the air thickened again with anticipation. What would she reveal? What truths awaited their discovery? Would her story echo in the hearts of those around her, igniting even more connections tonight? Each heartbeat amplified the moment, and Clara knew she had to step forward. The time had come to let her truth unfurl. Clara took a deep breath, her heart thumping against her chest like a drum. This was a moment she couldn't let slip away. She looked around at the faces gathered, some eager, some nervous, all open to what came next. She felt their gaze pressing gently against her, inviting her into a shared vulnerability. My story, it feels like it's been a long journey, Clara began, her voice steady but soft. I've fought my own battles that felt insurmountable at times. She paused, choosing her words. My dad suffers from PTSD. He's a soldier who fought valiantly, but returned home broken in ways no one can see. A murmur of understanding swept through the crowd. Clara felt a warmth seep into her skin, that quiet acknowledgement of shared struggles. It felt a bit like solace. I took on the role of caretaker far too early, and sometimes I felt so lost myself. My dreams faded, buried beneath the weight of responsibility. I desperately wanted better for my daughter, Emma. The name poured from her lips like an incantation. She's my light, my reason. But I've worried that I won't be able to give her the life she deserves. Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes, but she pressed on. I was working in the shadows, feeling invisible at events like this, thinking nobody saw me. But tonight, something changed. She looked directly at Jack. In that moment when I spoke up, I realized my voice mattered. That we, my family, and I carry stories worth hearing. Silence enveloped the room, weaving itself into the very fabric of the moment. Clara noticed nods, some reaching for each other as hands in solidarity. It was all enough to remind her that connections were forming, that they were not just gathering, they were becoming a community. I want Emma to feel seen. I want her to know that she is worthy of every dream, no matter how big. I want to fight for those dreams with every ounce of my being, Clara continued, her voice gaining strength. And through this initiative we create space for that. Not just for her, but for everyone who has felt unheard or unseen. The crowd responded, not with applause, but with whispers of encouragement, affirmations floating like soft butterflies in the air. As Clara finished, she realized that she had flung open the window to her soul. The truth had spilled out, raw and honest. It felt simultaneously terrifying and liberating. And then something magical happened. One by one, others began to share their own stories. The woman who lost a sister, a father trembling with grief, a young man recounting his struggles with mental health. Each story stitched its own patch into the vibrant quilt of humanity they were creating together. Tears fell, laughter emerged, hands grasped for comfort. They were becoming something beautiful, connected by threads of shared experience. Clara's heart swelled, feeling a sense of belonging she hadn't realized was missing. Maybe the shadows would always linger, but they didn't have to stand alone. The evening wound down, but the essence of connection hung heavily in the air. Clara caught Jack's eye, and he offered a radiant smile, one that spoke of promise and partnership. He stepped closer afterward, surrounded by eager voices ready to brainstorm ideas. "Tonight was just the beginning, Clara," he said. "Let us make sure this momentum carries on." Clara nodded, excitement bubbling up as she exchanged ideas with Minna and Sophie, her newfound allies. Resilience danced in the space between them, igniting plans for workshops, community gatherings, and outreach initiatives created not just to support them but to uplift others, bringing people from all walks of life together. As Clara moved through the crowd, she felt hands clasp her and eyes that offered respect and admiration. She understood now that impact didn't come just from grand gestures, but in the quiet moments of connection. Their gathering was not merely an event, it was a shifting tide, a revitalization of what community could look like. And as the night drew to a close, she stood at the doors, watching people exchange warmth and smiles, hearts full with new dreams and hope born of vulnerability. Gratitude washed over her. This was their moment. Their lives were changing amidst the afterglow. Every conversation seemed to spark a new idea, a new way forward, how they could lift each other up instead of existing in isolation. It all began with a night of shared truths. Clara laughed softly to herself. Who knew washing dishes could lead to this transformation? Standing there, she felt something magical. She felt seen. Not just by them, but by herself. She was no longer the ghost in the glimmering night. She was part of something vibrant, something beautiful. She turned to the friends by her side, the bonds of a newfound community blossoming in her heart. To anyone listening, this was just the beginning of their collective story of promise to face whatever came next together. But now, You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that might just change your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support matters more than you know. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this beautiful ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. True fans understand how important it is to support the channel through these actions. Step into the movement with us.